Hey devs, it's one dev back here, and this time with a video to show you how to implement picking images from the gallery of your phone into your application. So let's get into it, and for that we will use this library that I have here behind called React Native Image Picker. I will leave the URL of this repo in the description, and let's start. So first of all, of course, we have to install the package. So for that, we copy this command, add React Native Image Picker, and paste that into the terminal. So not in the Metro console, but in our project. Add React Native Image Picker. After that, we have to make a pod install for iOS, so we can run the iOS and pod install, or what is the same, we can just make it an npx pod install. And after this, there is just one more extra step for iOS. Let me show you. Post install steps. This step is important at the time of uploading your application into the App Store, because if we are using the gallery from the user and we don't specify these keys in the info.plist, the Apple team will reject our application when we submit the app. So we have to specify that we are using these permissions or we are accessing these keys. So for that, we have to add this key into the info.plist and also the description specifying why we need the access to the picture. So for example, to the gallery, let's copy the key we have to add, and let's go back to our project and open the info.plist file. So at the end, we have to add this key. So let me copy and replace here. And also we have to add a string saying what we need from the user. So for example, tutorial app needs access to your pictures so you can upload pictures to app, for example. So after this, now we are ready to run the app again. So the pods are ready. Run iOS. Same work for Android. We don't need to make extra steps for Android. That's why I'm only showing the iOS side, but it should work also for Android. Anyways, if you have any trouble making the process for Android, just leave some comments in the video. So I prepared here some examples, but they are commented now because I had first to install the package with you. So let's go back to the documentation first, because before I showed you the example. The usage is the following. We have to import, of course, the methods from the package, and we have two in the example. We will make use of this one. In this case, the launch camera is to launch the camera, take a photo or a video, and then upload that or take that into our application. But we want to use that. In this case, we will only use the launch image library. So first we have to import this. That's this first line I have here. So I just uncomment this line. Just copy and paste this line and remove the launch camera. And let me also uncomment the examples I have prepared for you. So in the first example, we will only pick one picture and show it and render it in our application. For that, I have prepared here just an image. Sorry, let me uncomment it properly here. So I have prepared an image. This variable here can't find because I have also commented this line, but this is the state variable that I have here. So as you can see, we will have a state variable and an image that has a URI. That URI, we have to pick that URI from the picture that we are picking from the gallery. And how to do that? Of course, we have to trigger that action to open the gallery. And for that, of course, we also have this touchable opacity, the pick a picture button that we see here. And this button should trigger an action. That action, what action should that be? That action will be the following that we have here. Let's comment this, and the function is onSimplePicturePick. Let's paste it here. So on press, call this function. What does this function do? This function calls the launch image library method that comes from React Native Image Picker. So let's take a look to that method. Here it says that it shows that we can call it just calling the function with some options and passing a callback, or we can also save the result in a variable using await and just passing options to the function. So we have chosen the second case. In this case, we have an async function because we will await for the result of this method. So the media type property that we have here is part of the options object that the documentation shows here, options, and these options are all visible here. Media type is to specify if we are picking photos, videos, or maybe mixed, which means both. So in this case, we just pick a photo, and we will first, before applying this and showing the results, we will first console log the result because I want to explain you the structure of the result that we have. So let's save, and now let's clear first the Metro console and back to the application, pick a picture. As you can see, first of all, this is working, and this is showing the gallery to pick the picture, and once we pick the picture, here we see the result. So the result says assets, and we have an object. So first of all, we see that the result is an object which has a property called assets, which is an array of objects. Let me console log this a bit different so we can see the structure inside. So the result would be result. Okay, let's console log again. Let's trigger the action again, and there we go. So the result is an object that has an assets property inside, which is an array of objects. In this case, we have only one object because we are only allowing the user to pick one picture. But we will see in the second example that we can have multiple objects here, which refers to different pictures that we will pick. So the important stuff here is the URI, the most important one. We will play with this one to show the picture in the application, or to send the picture to the backend, or do whatever we want. We also have the file size, the height of the file, also the width, the type of the image, which is a JPG, and also the file name. So let's play with the URI. That's the example I have prepared. Now that we know the structure, right, an object which has an assets property, which is an array of objects, we know now that this example that we have here to set the state, we will set the URI state, the simple image URI, will be the result dot assets, because we know that the result is an object that has an asset property that is an array. And why the 0 index? Because we only have one object, because we are allowing the user only to pick one object, so we have only one object, and inside that object we have the URI prop. So that's the URI we will set to our state. And that image is the one, that URI is the one that we will pass to our image component. So again, let's uncomment this, and now let's do it again. If I pick a picture, it shows below here. So that's the first example we have. Now let's go with the second one. For that, let's just uncomment this because we want to use this. We can leave this, but let's uncomment it so we don't get confused. And now let's go with the second one. For that, I prepared here a list, a map of the image assets, which is also another state variable that will be an array. So we will map for each of the objects inside, we will map an image, just almost the same as here, just an image that shows the image with an IURI. Okay, so for that the picking will be a bit different. We won't use this function, we will use this one that we have here on multiple picture pick. This function will allow the users to pick more than one picture. So let's take a look 1 second here. The difference we have, the main difference, the critical difference to allow the user to pick multiple pictures is to add this property called selection limit. Let's go back to the documentation and take a look to that. That's inside the options because we are passing that property inside the options object, and that property called selection limit describes that. Supports providing any integer value. Use 0 to allow any number of files on iOS version and Android version that supports this property, but allows the user to allow any numbers of files. Okay, the default is 1. That's why we only see one object here inside the assets prop. So by setting the selection limit to 0, we should be able to pick more than one image from the gallery. Let's see if that is true. Just testing this example. Let's comment out this again so we don't get confused. And here we have again. Let me also copy the way that we were console logging this so we can see better the result. And what we have here is that we will call that function once we press this button. That we call again the launch image library function, but this time with the selection limit 0. We'll console log and also set the image assets state with result.assets. This is different than the previous one. If you can see, it was result.assets, the 0 index and the URI, because in this case, let me show you first the result that we have. If I pick a picture, first of all, we are allowed to select more than one, different from the first time. And if I tap on add here, you can see that now we have several files here inside the assets prop, which is still an array, but this time we have several objects. So the difference here is that we were picking only the first image in the first example, just to show the image, and in this case we want to show all the images that we are picking. So for that we want all the assets, right? So what we will do is to set or save in our state the result.assets, and then here when we are mapping the state, the variable, each asset will be an object like this. So we know that each asset will have the asset.URI prop. So if we save here, we should be able to see the result. Not this time because I had commented this line, but now if I pick new pictures, we can see that they will show up. And there we go. So with these two examples, we have learned how to add this or how to use this library, and also we made two different testings with two different options that we can find here in the options section specified in this table. Feel free to play with it, and I invite you to read the documentation and play with it. But if you have any doubts, just leave them in the comments, but this is the example I have for you. We also can see that in the response object, we have some different possible responses. The one we were seeing was the assets one, which is just the file. But for example, there is an interesting property or an interesting response called did cancel. And this one will be triggered if we, for example, I think I will have some issues if I cancel. Yeah, I know. Don't pay attention to this. What I want you to show is the result that we have here. Here is the result. So remember that we were making a console here from the result, and this is the result, right? Did cancel true. that is the result when the user taps on the cancel button. So that's another interesting property or another interesting response that we have from this library that allows us to control the cases when the user cancels the image picking. These are the properties that come inside the asset object, but you can keep on reading on this and play with the library. So that's all from my side. Any doubts or any comments, just leave them below, and yeah, just let me know if you have any issues. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope the explanation was clear for you. Yeah, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.